you doing? I'm Daniel Mosnet with Cowboy Charcoal, and we have another hot one for you today. We're talking holiday recipes and holiday side dishes. Now, the big things that get all of the play on your table, the turkey, the prime rib, the ham, all of those beautiful things, they do need their time in the sun and all their glory, and that's fine. But today we're going to talk about the unsung heroes on the sides of your plate. We're talking about the veggies, the squashes, and all of those things that take just a little bit of time to prepare and take them from good to absolutely great. And these sides, if you follow these steps, they're going to be absolutely great. We've got Brussels sprouts for you today. And Brussels sprouts, you may think, oh, disgusting, I don't like them. They're simple, they're easy to prepare, and if you add some great flavors to them, you're gonna absolutely love them. We're also talking about butternut squash today. These are those funky things that you walk by in the produce department, you have no idea what the heck they are. They're really easy to prepare. We're gonna add some Jack Daniels to them today. That got your ears perked up. Jack Daniels make these taste absolutely fantastic. They don't take any time to cook. You can put them right on the grill while you're doing all of your fun big turkeys and everything. So we'll show you how to prepare those today. These are really simple. Butternut squash, you walk by them. All you do is you cut them in half. There's some seeds inside, just like a pumpkin. You just scoop them out. That's it. Just take a spoon and scoop them right out. Now you can do this with kabocha squash or acorn squash or spaghetti squash or any of those hard squashes that you find in the grocery store that are always popular this time of year. You can use this recipe for all of those things. So what we're going to show you today is how to get this started. First, we've got a cast iron pan getting ripping hot. Okay, this is a really hot pan. We had it turned over for a little while, so it got nice and hot. We're gonna use that for the Brussels sprouts. But we've got a nice layer of Cowboy charcoal, oak and hickory. You can see it right here. We've got that going. It's about 350, maybe a little bit hotter, maybe about 400 degrees inside our egg right now. That's about what you want your grill to be, about 400 degrees. And you're gonna be set. We've got a decent amount of charcoal inside, so this will last us for the squash for about an hour. For the Brussels sprouts, this is gonna last us, we're probably only gonna need this for about 20 minutes or so. You can either do this right in your serving dish, and we're just gonna put this right on the grill, or you can just lay these right on top of the grill if you don't have enough room. Here, we've got them all cleaned, they're all ready to go. We're gonna add just a little bit. I told you we're gonna add some Jack Daniels. It's also gonna help bind our flavors. We're gonna add a little bit of Jack Daniels right over the top, just a bit. We're gonna spread that around. We're almost using this just as a little bit of a binding liquid, okay? And we're gonna baste these butternut squash a few different times with this same Jack Daniels liquid. So we just need a little bit just to help us bind, okay? Now, for our Jack Daniels mixture, you may wonder why it's so thick. All we did, simple, just took a little bit of Jack Daniels and a little bit of honey and a little bit of syrup. You don't have to use honey if you don't want. You can just use the syrup. It's up to you, but about equal parts. Just put it on your stovetop and reduce it by about half until it gets this nice syrupy consistency. That's it. That's all you have to do. You can use that same glaze on any of your hams. You can use it on just about anything. You can use it in a cocktail. Boy, that would be fantastic. Now we're just gonna add some brown sugar right over the top. This brown sugar is going to help caramelize, right over the top. And a little bit more, right over the top. I'm a little bit messy, but that's all right. Okay, so here, that's it, that's all we're gonna do. Just a little bit of that Jack Daniels glaze and a little bit of brown sugar. You could add butter to it if you like. And we're just gonna set it right on the grill. That's gonna cook for about an hour. Like with these two I told you, right? We can just put those two right on the grill. So now traditionally we would just close the grill and just let that cook. Let that cook for about an hour. Now you could do the same thing here in the oven if you wanted to. You could take these butternut squash and you could roast them at about 350 degrees in the oven inside. Or if you don't have enough room, you don't have enough time, bring it outside, bring it to the grill. It's beautiful weather out here where we are in southern Nevada, so we're gonna do everything on the grill this year. So that's gonna cook for, like I said, just about an hour. Now, while those are cooking and while we're letting those go, we're gonna show you how to make our Brussels sprouts, okay? The first thing we're gonna do with our Brussels sprouts is We're gonna add a little bit of butter. I told you that was hot. Add a little bit of butter to our cast iron pan. Just get that melted. That didn't take long. Now we're gonna add our bacon. Now, a lot of people are gonna say, why don't you just take the bacon and eat it and call it a day? Well, because we're making Brussels sprouts, that's why. So all we're gonna do is we're gonna brown this up. Nice and crispy. Because the Brussels sprouts, when we have them shaved like this, you can either use a sharp knife, a mandolin, but you just wanna shave them nice and small, right? They won't take very long to cook. Some people blanch them before. You can do that if you like. I've never really felt the need to. Okay, that's it. Nice and even. Have some big chunks in there, some smaller pieces, they're gonna come apart. Just take the ends off and chop them nice and small. We've got Compart Duroc bacon that we're cooking down here. Gonna let some of that fat render out. And then once you start getting a little bit brown and all brown, that's when we'll add some more ingredients. Now, for these Brussels sprouts, here are our ingredients. You got Brussels sprouts, you got the butter to go in the pan. Then we're gonna we added our bacon. We're gonna add a little bit of just fresh chopped garlic. And then we'll add our Brussels sprouts. Once those start to cook down a little bit, you can finish them off a couple of different ways. You can finish them off with just a little bit of white wine right over the top. Or you can finish them off with a little bit of Jack Daniels. That helps to keep that flavor flowing through on all of your sides. You can see our brown sugar starting to melt here already. Open up our vent there a little bit to keep our heat going. Typically, I'd leave this vent closed a little bit because we'd have the top of our grill closed for the squash, but I'm showing you how to do these here as well. Nothing has been very complicated. What I've done so far is really simple. Most of the recipes that I've shown you here with Cowboy, they're all very basic, very simple. You just need to start with great ingredients, good charcoal, good flavors. That's about it. Today we're cooking over pecan chunks. So when you're talking holidays, you have pecan, you have maple, hickory. When you're doing your pork dishes, you want to use apple. Some of your desserts or baked, you might want to bring in the cherry woods. But pecan and hickory, you really can't go wrong with either of those flavors for any of your holiday dishes. So we're using pecan today. I'll show you some hickory dishes as well. Okay, so now that we are pretty well rendered, pretty well cooked, we're gonna add our garlic, and as much as you want. You can add a bunch of different things here now. You could add shallots, you could add some onions. I would use probably a yellow onion. If you used onions, you could add green onions, diced. You could add leeks to this too. So many different directions. I'm just kind of giving you the base, and it's up to you to make it your own. And I'd love to hear how you do make it your own. What else can you add to it? Tell me if you like Brussels sprouts or if you don't like Brussels sprouts. All right, now that our garlic's cooking and relatively well cooked and softened really, now it's time to add our Brussels sprouts. Might have a little bit too many here for our pan. And there's a little bit of water retention in these Brussels sprouts. So you gotta account for that. You want most of that to cook down. I think that's about all we'll add here today. Now some people I know from here, once those start cooking, they add a layer of breadcrumbs over the top. That's also a nice thing to do. Now we'll just mix this all the way through, get this nice and well sauteed. I always like to have a pretty high ratio of bacon to veggies. So you can see in this dish that we have right now, we've got an awful lot of bacon. Get some of your guests feeling a little bit more comfortable with your side dish. See a nice bright green. You don't really need to cook these very long. Okay, once these start to wilt, then you want to add a little bit of liquid. And today we'll add a little bit of white wine. Not too much. You just kind of mix that in. It helps to steam, helps to make sure that your Brussels sprouts are cooked. Like I said, since we cut these so finely, you don't need to cook them very long. Now, if you don't want to chop them so small, you can leave them quartered and they'll start to break down on their own a little bit. You could just cut them in half. I like to cut them a little bit smaller. And then here we'll add a little bit of salt and pepper to taste. A little bit of salt. We didn't add salt to the butternut squash here, so we probably would want to do that too. Add a little pepper. Add a little pepper to these. That's it, simple stuff. All right, we'll close this down and let it cook for just a little bit. Show you what it looks like when it's all done. We're finishing up our sides here, and it's important that you test your butternut squash or whatever squash you decide to use. We're letting those cook for about an hour, and you just want to make sure that they're fork tender. That's when you know that they're done. So after about an hour at 350 degrees here, you can take these off, and you can see what these are looking like. We took our Brussels sprouts off for a little bit just so they wouldn't overcook too much there while we were waiting for our squash. And you really want to time those things out. Let's get you our squash. So you can see they'll shrink down quite a bit, but that's what your squash are going to look like. Now, right as these are done, we're just going to give this a quick little drizzle of our maple bourbon vanilla. So easy. And then I just am gonna add some chopped candied pecans. We just candied these very simply with some butter and some sugar. Add a little bit of texture there while you're cooking. We've also got our Brussels sprouts. Those cook down so nicely. Now, Brussels sprouts, you know, we talked earlier, they get a bad rap. Typically what people did is they grabbed Brussels sprouts, they threw them in a pot, they boiled them until they were soft and mushy, and boy did they taste terrible. So doing them this way, making sure you get a nice, easy, quick little shave either on a mandolin or chop them very finely, you can see, boy, they smell great. Let's give these a taste. Oh man. You can really tell that white wine in there, the pork, fantastic. The Compart Duroc bacon in there, you can really taste those nice bites of bacon, fantastic. And then when we move in here for our butternut squash, you can see how that just flakes and it's nice and orange right underneath. Look at that. I like the top, it's nice and crispy. That brown sugar. A lot of that brown sugar. This is going to be pretty sweet. So when you serve this, make sure that you pair it with something that's not as sweet. Make sure you have a crisp white wine that can go with it. But that sweet is going to go fantastic with your turkey and your ham. So here are a couple easy sides for your holidays. You can use these Thanksgiving, Christmas, anytime. Simple sides to do right on the grill. They'll take you about an hour. Your Brussels sprouts will take you about 30 minutes. And you have a great family of recipes to go with your turkey and your ham or whatever you're choosing to put out there. Have a great holiday season, guys. I'm Daniel Mosnet with Cowboy Charcoal. We'll see you next time.